On special request. On the last Friday morning, before the high holidays, after a long year when the rain refused to come to Helm, the villagers met as usual in the marketplace. For week after week, the sky had been hard, cloudless, blue. The town prayed, fasted, and recited psalms, but the fields only grew more cracked and dusted. It was then when someone whispered, "What if all our prayers are for nothing? What if no one is listening?" The rumor spread faster than herring on a Friday. By afternoon tea, half the town was convinced and ready to cancel Yom Kippur, while the other half hesitated, willing to give it one more try. Of course, Moshe was in the thick of it, arriving with the scrolls, charts, and calculations. "Look," he declared, "I have read every page of the Bible. If there is a God, here is the proof. And if there is not, here is the probability." He scribbled long equations in the dust of the marketplace. Josler, as usual, had nothing to write with. He simply listened, scratching his head, until someone finally turned to him. "Nu, Josler, what do you think? God or no God?" He shrugged. "I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no." The crowd gowned. "That is not an answer." But Josler went on. "I've read the Torah too, and I live by it. When I visit the sick, I feel useful. When I give bread to the hungry, I feel full myself. When I forgive, I sleep better. I don't know if God keeps score, but I know I'm happier this way. And if, when I die, it turns out there is nothing, well, I still lived a good life." The villagers grew quiet. Even Moshe, who had filled half the square with Talmud quotes and numbers, stopped writing. After a while, he muttered, "But what about the probabilities?" Josler smiled. "Probabilities don't hug you back, Moshe. People do. That's enough for me." And with that, he wandered off to find a piece of kugel, leaving the villagers wondering if he had stumbled once again on the real wisdom of Helm. That square in Helm is closer than it looks. Its dry sky, its whisper of doubt. We feel them in our own lives. We know the pull towards proof, the part of us that wants everything to add up, just as we know the pull towards kindness, the part that simply wants to live well. This is the hour of Neilah, when the sums will not settle. As the light thins and our speech grounds honest, we understand this is not the time to win an argument with the universe. It is the time to stand as ourselves and choose how we will live life in certainty, if certainty never comes, when probabilities are not enough. Our hearts want guarantees, yet they know life does not trade in them. A parent loves and protects without being certain that a child will be safe. A doctor cares and persists without knowing if a treatment will cure. We cannot be certain that prayer changes the course of the world, yet we know prayer can change the shape of a day and sometimes the shape of a life. And that is not small. In this hour, I carry a particular truth in my heart. We cannot have certainty, but being true with ourselves, that we can have. We can live with integrity. We can choose honesty, compassion, and the discipline to align with the best in us, even when no one is counting, even when the sky is dry. The world outside this room has been loud and unforgiving. In these last minutes of Yom Kippur, that world does not stop. However, we can choose how we meet the world when we leave from here. We have prayed for the hostages, for the civilians across borders, for leaders to choose life. The news this week of a proposed peace plan has stirred conversations at every table. After so much anguish, the thought of hostages coming home, of peace returning to the region, is enough to make our hearts race. And yet, after so long with no rain, who among us dares to speak with certainty? Hope rises, certainty does not. So, how do we return to the world? Certainly not by predicting the future or hardening into slogans. We are asked for steadiness. We are asked for the courage to hold our values high, to insist without apology that every life has infinite worth, that security and dignity must walk together, that grief does not excuse cruelty, and fear does not cancel conscience. In practice, this may seem too simple, but that is where faith lies. So let's return to faith. Why? Because our tradition has always taught the long game. Plant a tree you may never see grow tall. Return a lost object that no one saw you find. Leave the corner of the field for the stranger whose name you will not learn. These are not gestures of certainty. They are gestures of loyalty to the kind of people we want to be. There's a second loyalty that matters tonight, quieter and just as demanding. Loyalty to the truth of the soul. To say in the privacy of your heart, this is where I am with God, and to say it without shame. To say, I'm not sure. To say, I am angry. To say, I still hope. Even to say, I cannot find the words today, and to stand anyway. That honesty is also a prayer. It is how a real human being stands at an open gate. If doubt has been your companion this past year, let it come with you for these last steps. Doubt can be a guardrail against fanatism, against the false comfort of total explanation. Held with humility, it can make us gentler with others' stories and more careful with power. Doubt in the head, faithfulness in the hands. The pairing can carry us further than either one alone. If fear has been your companion, let it put a hand on your shoulder and then breathe. Fear is a warning light, not a leader. It tells you what you cherish. You do not have to give it the steering wheel. Let your values guide you forward. To those who have prayed all day and feel nothing has changed, you are not defective. You are faithful. You showed up, you formed a community and helped others who needed support. That too is service of Avodah, and the gates open for it. Sometimes change comes not directly to us. And to those who did feel something move, guard it. It is tender, tied to a small promise you can keep, shared with someone you trust, and let it become real. Soon we will hear the last shofar. Its sound will be ancient and new. It will not solve the equations Moshe drew in the dust. It will cut right through them. That sound is older than proof, a call that reminds us that being alive is already a vocation. The work waiting outside is the same as yesterday. Only now we know a little more about who we intend to be. The marketplace in Chelm is still buzzing. Moshe is still calculating as he should. The world needs minds like his. And Joshua is still carrying a quiet conviction that a good life can be lived without guarantees. We carry them both from this sanctuary, for we need them both. But tonight, if we must choose who leads us through the gate, let it be Joshua. Let the proofs follow where they can, but let the heart go first. Certainty we cannot have, but being true, that we can have. We can keep faith with our best selves, with our people, and with the image of God we still dare to see in every human face. We can keep faith with hope, not as a prediction, but as a decision. We can keep faith with peace, not as a slogan, but as a practice. And we can keep faith with one another, because probabilities do not hug you back. People do. Chaverim, may the gate stay open long enough for your next brave step. May your step bring enough light for the one after it. May the year ahead find us steady in our values, generous with our hands, and stubborn in hope. And may the marketplace in Chelm come right, at least with rain. Gemar Chatima Tova. And I invite you to